I'd like to open it up for comments or questions from the audience, or for panelists to each other to engage in dialogue about both career paths, what happened here, and maybe what other experiences you went through in these, prior to this wonderful facility. I will tell one story about Jack Hofsiss. I was thinking of this on the train coming down this morning. Jack, in a production of Marat Sade that we did, tied together the shoelaces of the critic for the DC Gazette. And that critic tripped on his way out of the theater.
And that critic wrote about it.
And that critic wrote about it.
Favorably.
Favorably. And
that was it. Get a little print and...
we were off and running. So, there, folks, do you have any other experiences here that you'd like to touch on?
I'll start off maybe a little thread of conversation by saying when a theater major was developed here, I know it was a long-range ambition for a long time, and it's wonderful to see the university putting their resources behind a project like this, and good Lord, this facility is beautiful. There are a lot of people from my era who kind of saw that with mixed emotions, because we kind of felt that it might now become about the theater department and less about individual initiative. When I was a junior, we totaled up all the productions that had been staged on campus for a theater that had no theater department and really did nothing to recruit people who did theater. We counted something like, over one calendar year, something like 35 full shows that had been staged and brought up and rehearsed and presented to an audience. And that it crossed over all the usual clubs and the dance theaters and all that. And it was almost all done on student initiative. And I was very encouraged during the tour today to hear about all the collaboration that's going on between the staff of the department and the clubs. I saw Arsenic and Old Lace the other night, and I was a little worried to see that I didn't see a single theater major bio in that program. And if there was a sort of de facto wall, if not a nominate wall between these departments. And the more walls we break down, I think the better. So that's small evidence to draw a conclusion, but that I think is an ongoing concern of the alumni.
Yes. Yeah, back there.
To respond to that, as a current student, I think that one of the amazing things about Georgetown Theatre remains the fact that you don't have to be a theater major to be so actively involved. And I think that our program and our clubs really thrive off of the fact that, we have nursing students and econ majors and all of these people who are bringing in such diverse stories and perspectives and opinions. And I think that there is certainly a strong group of us theater majors, but it's really a place where it doesn't matter what you study or where you are involved, but you are just able to hit the ground running and take off. And I think that that's one of the things that makes our school so special. And with the new presence of the theater department, a lot of the folks in Arsenic and Old Lace actually have been able to participate across the clubs, are in a lot of the classes, and it's just something that is available to you even if you're not an official major.
That's tremendous. And how much would you enjoy some classes in design work or in an undergrad?
Yeah. Well, I had one little micro class actually, and that was in Donn's office. Late one spring, I had somehow managed to get the job as set designer for the summer theater, Georgetown Summer Theatre. We were doing Man of La Mancha, and I also, like Victoria, finagled a credit. I was gonna, it was gonna become a class, and so I had to go to Donn, and I brought in my ground plan and my scribble of a sketch on a piece of paper that had no sense of perspective whatsoever, no sense. And Donn graciously sort of sat me down and said, "Oh, okay, well this sort of looks very interesting. Now, if this is your ground plan, let's see how we could sort of communicate it. And he gave me a lesson in perspective drawing right there in his class. And it was my first tool in communicating a design idea. So, and my last, I think, here.
One of the things that happened because of the cross-pollination between departments while I was here was there were so many Russian majors who got involved in Mask and Bauble that we actually did a production of Three Sisters in Russian. And a fully produced, I designed the lights, it was in stage 1, and it was back during the Cold War, so all of the Russian emigres sat on one side of the stage, all the people from the embassy sat on the other side of the stage. And it was I think we did 3 performances. I don't think anybody is here then. But it was a beautiful production of Three Sisters in Russian because we said, well, hell, we got so many people. Why not, you know? Another thing was that the most money every year was thrown at Calliope. And to me, it was like, you mean where the emphasis is going to be is on new work that the students actually write, and that's where Mask and Bauble, because Mask and Bauble there was no other. Was there any other theater department? I mean, there was nothing else. So
when we were here.
No, well, yeah. So so the major part of the budget every year went on something that was going to be new, and we rented Trinity usually to perform it in. And there was a competition, you know, where 6 or 7 different groups said, I've written a musical, and we had to get up and audition these musicals, and then somebody chose, and the other thing while I was here was Jack.
Gus, it was the realization that musicals get the most money.
I think it was more, because we did musicals. There were musicals that were done in the regular season too. Yeah, the thing that impressed me was the new work. And the other thing was Jack, being such a theater kid from New York while I was here, was constantly bringing in plays that I had never heard of, that I ended up designing the sets for usually, like Operation Sidewinder. Has anybody ever heard of another production of Operation Sidewinder since it opened at the Beaumont? Sam Shepard's play with music by the Holy Moly Roll. Holy Modal Rockers, and I love that score. I still know that score. And we turned stage 1 into the desert in Arizona. And people sat on the ground on little bumps of carpet that I scavenged from God knows where. And it was really wonderful. But nobody's ever even touched that. Did you see it when it was done at Lincoln Center?
Yeah. And I heard about it, and I thought, rock and roll, yes, that's a step in the right direction.
And all of this, was because it was really the Wild West here on campus. You could really do whatever,
And it's great to hear that it seems like every class that graduated from here felt the same way about that Wild West feeling. And when I was here, again, I think we had the Georgetown Classical Theater, which was already starting to be closed down, and otherwise it was Mask and Bauble. And a group of friends and I we all worked at Mask and Bauble, but we started the Independent Theater of Georgetown, and that seemed to start a snowball effect of all these other theater companies starting. Now it seems that there are, how many theaters are there now? 4? Yeah. Five. Yeah, and it's fluctuated. Sometimes there's been more, sometimes less, but that in addition to Mask and Bauble, in addition to now what the department is doing, it seems like there's always that desire to let's branch out and make more theater, which is great.
Yes, up there.
Thank you. Chris, I think you make a good point about some sort of mixed emotions that some of the oldsters like us may have about this gorgeous place, and I salute Georgetown for putting it together. I would look on the other side of it, though. You said there were no theater majors in Arsenic and Old Lace, and I'd almost take that as a good sign. Yeah. And in other words, it's if it was all theater majors, or mainly in Mask and Bauble, then I'd say, oh my goodness, is all of a sudden is that not closed off to the econ guys and the English majors and stuff like that? So I hope that's a good omen.
But the politics that happens, having worked in too many universities over the year, the politics that happens is sometimes the department says, and I don't know that this is happening here, I doubt it's happening here. The department says, if you're going to be in that M&B show, then you're not getting cast in a department show.
No.
Or you're going to,
Not, yeah.
Okay.